Welcome. I'm Judith Ann King Matheson, and I'm representing Wootaway Wellness Learning Center's project, Uplifting Oneness. I'm in conversation with a diversity of global spiritual leaders on this project that you can see on www.outauais wellness WELLNESS learning.com. I'm so privileged to be speaking today to John Lockley, and from my heart to yours, John, thank you so much for being present to me today. As we speak, and I am sharing with you, I'm blessed to be speaking from the Algonquin Sacred Territory of Quebec and Ottawa in the provinces of Quebec and Ontario. This Algonquin Sacred Territory is the space by which an elder by the name of William Commanda shared a vision many years ago that is planted in the hearts of many people. And that vision is growing all the time and taking root. Elder William Commanda had a vision for his people, the Algonquin people, and for the people of Canada and all the people of the world, to become a culture of peace and a circle of all nations. And his voice is very similar to that of Elder Nelson Mandela, who visited Canada many years ago and was welcomed by Elder Commanda. And many Canadians feel that this spiritual leader from the Algonquin Nation is Canada's Nelson Mandela. And so on behalf of myself and all the peoples of Canada and the world, I'd like to bless John's presence here today for helping us to understand the significance of his journey as a shaman from South Africa, visiting Canada, and in connecting with us on internet, helping citizens of one humanity begin to hear why all our voices are so important and why in all of our hearts, the goodness of each of us is seeking to flow. So John, on behalf of all the listeners in the future months and weeks and perhaps years ahead that will hear your voice through the Project OWL, may the well-being of the earth embrace us, each and every one of us, in the new cosmology that yearns to be manifested as we hear the voices of teachers and spiritual leaders such as yourself. So thank you for coming today and being part of this project, and for opening our conversation today with a prayer and the drumming that will help us all awaken to listen deeply from our hearts. So thank you, John, for creating this sacred space for the listeners and for myself.
Thanks, Judith. Nice to be with you today, and it's always an honor for me when people invite me to speak and to play my drum. So thank you very much. So today I'd like to play my drum and just sing from the heart. And I often sing in the language that I was apprenticed in, and that's the language of Nelson Mandela, isiXhosa. So a lot of the words have got to do with ancestors, welcoming in the ancestors. And as we welcome in our ancestors, we welcome in our humanity. And it doesn't matter what language you speak, it doesn't matter what culture you're from, it doesn't matter what religion you're from. When we welcome in our ancestors, it's not voodoo, it's not superstitious, it's just humane. It's the right thing to do. You can be a Christian, you can be a Muslim, you can be a Buddhist or a Hindu, you can be Jewish, you can be someone practicing the Sikh tradition. Doesn't matter. We honor our ancestors not as a form of religious practice, but as a form of connecting with our roots. As a tree connects with its roots and it maintains its integrity in the earth. It's the same thing as a human being when we're connecting with the people who walked before us, We are just maintaining our integrity within the earth. On that note, when I'm singing, I'm welcoming in the Amanyange. Our ancestors are human ancestors in all different forms and colors, so they are with us in spirit. So we don't walk alone, and also so we don't forget them. As we remember the people who walked before us, we maintain our humility in the face of the mystery. Because if we think that we are these independent, isolated individuals, it's a breeding ground for arrogance and also for stupidity. And what we need now is more of an enlightened way of thinking. And part of that enlightenment means recognizing those who have walked before us. So on that note, here we go. Here's my little song on my chant in isiXhosa. Amanyange, 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 amanyange. Abazali bamo, abazali bamo, abazali bamo, abazali bamo, abazali bamo, abazali bamo. Munu Mandela wa, Munu Mandela wa, oh Mandela. Mandela wam, Mandela wam, you, Mandela wam, Mandela wam, Mandela wam, Mandela wam, Mandela wam. Hey, Manyange. Manyange, siyangola Thixo wam, siyangola Qamata, siyangola siyathandaza Camagu, Nkosi yam Camagu. Vulenlela Manyange, vulenlela Thixo wam, vulenlela abazali bam, vulenlela sithi Camagu. Vulenlela Manyange, vulenlela Manyange. That's a little, we call it a ngoma. That's an Ngoma, which is a Sangoma chant to welcome in the ancestors, the ancient ones.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for myself and those that will be listening to this later for that wonderful vibration of energy that connects us as one humanity to all our relations and all our ancestors. We're living in such amazing times of awakening in each other, this new cosmology that yearns to express itself through the power of love, care, and compassion, and the kindness that we are experiencing in these times of challenges that can speak deeply to all of us, of the powerful word called hope. So thank you, John, for connecting those listening to this in the coming weeks and months and years. And I know that you're coming from a rich history, that you're also an author of a book that tells a little bit of the richness of your story and that has led you to be who you are today because of our life experiences and events that shape and mold us. So as an author of The Leopard, I believe it's called The Warrior Leopard, or what's the name of the book that you've offered?
Leopard Warrior.
A Leopard Warrior. Tell me something, John, and when you look at your life story and the power of being an author that kind of tells your story so others can help see their own story, would you say that the power of music, when you wrote something several weeks ago, it really spoke to my heart, and what you had written was, may the music of your people open your hearts and dreams. And so when we hear something like that powerful vibration of our ancestors calling us to awaken and to remember, and we become authors of books and we become teachers and students at the same time, tell us a little bit about why listening is so important, to listen from our hearts as we hear conversations from shamans like yourself, and a little bit of who you are in the story for the listener, wanting to tap into the energy that you bring to the world right now.
The importance of listening. Well, they say first there was the sound, and the sound wouldn't exist without something listening to the sound. That sounds very mystical and cryptic. I don't mean to be mystical and cryptic. There's always a balance between the listener and the speaker. That which makes the sound and that which listens to the sound, which is more important. And nowadays it feels like everything is, there's lots of noise in the world because there's very little listening. And what that speaks about is us really learning to listen to ourselves first. So what is the song in your own heart, those people who are listening to us? Firstly, I thank you for listening, because there's not enough listening. And my story only exists when someone listens to it. I mean, it exists on its own, sure, but there's kind of wings to the story when there's someone listening to it. So I thank you for listening to me and Judith straight away. Thank you. So now the world is in a difficult place. It has been for a long time. And how do we move through that pain? The first is we have to listen to our own pain. We have to listen to our own heart. We have to listen to the universe inside of us. Yogis and shamans of old speak about the universe inside each human being. And the journey is making peace with that universe inside of you, and then doing something effective in the outside world. That first piece of us diving into our own inner world. That's the scariest for most people. That's why there's war outside, because people see things inside themselves that they don't like, and then they see that reflected outside onto other nations or people, and they go, I hate you, I hate you. But you can't hate someone if you don't know them. Really, you can't.
Mm-hmm.
You can only really hate someone if you get to know them. And if you really get to know them, you might not hate them. You might just dislike them because you don't like their behavior. But hate is just a strong word. And often hate comes from ignorance. To stop this cycle of hatred, to create more harmony, not between the human beings, but also nature. To start to become more effective with helping planet Earth, helping the biosphere, helping the animals and plants. We have to create more harmony between the human beings, because our job as human beings, our old job, is custodians. We are custodians of this earth. We walk upright. We have special abilities and senses. And we are the natural guardians and custodians of the plant and animal worlds. But we are not doing our jobs right now because we are fighting with ourselves and we are fighting with one another. To stop that fight means to close our eyes and to feel our beating heart, and then to feel the pain and trauma in our hearts, to feel the loss, feel the grief, feel the anger, feel the resentment, feel the guilt and feel the shame, feel all these things. And then to sink into the heart and feel the music of the heart, feel the rhythm of the aliveness of this electrical conductor, of this little drummer, which is called the heartbeat. When I drop into my heart and I start to feel my heartbeat, and then I play a song. Before I play a song, there is first just the music of the heart and feeling that music, feeling that rhythm. And once I sink into that, then the next movement is this desire to play my drum and sing a song. And then I pick up my drumsticks and then I sing, or I just chant. I think it's like for a lot of people. So I welcome the listener to close your eyes and feel the little drummer inside of you. When you're really feeling the little drummer inside of you, then there's no you and me, there's just us.
Beautiful. And that's probably why in us all, we have this deeper knowingness that we cannot put words to. But we can feel something in us urging us to know ourselves, to know the beauty of who we are inside ourselves. But yet we fear to feel in our culture the pain that is also there with the compassion.
Yes.
Because there's these two energies that make us who we are. And to be fully human, we must honor that we have both energies. And maybe it's time on the planet now to begin to embrace those, to see that whatever another person is making me feel, they're actually a teacher that's mirroring to me. Whatever I see in them is also in myself.
Yes, for sure, definitely.
And that's probably why sacred conversations, heart to heart, where we're both the listener and the conversationalist, we're helping each other to awaken in these times of great challenge. That the ancestors tell us now we're the ancestors. It's time for us to awaken inside ourselves to the beauty that we also are, in as much fear as we have, we have this powerful energy called love. So would you say these are really these times of awakening that we're now in, that have been prophesied by many spiritual leaders all over the planet?
I don't know. I don't know. I just know there's something happening, and it feels like time is going quicker than normal. But to make a big prediction, I don't know. I'm sure every age of man there's going to be predictions. People are saying certain things. I do know that there's more of a interconnectivity happening because of the internet and because of these smart devices we have. And that's bringing people closer, but it's also creating awareness of struggle, creating awareness of discord. However, I think that's a positive thing, because in order for us to heal our disharmonies, we have to really look very carefully at the violence, at the racism, at the bigotry, and feel completely uncomfortable with it in order for it to burn through our system, in order for that behavior to stop. So to say that nowadays things are more violent or more wrong than in the past, I don't know if that's true. I think that things are getting better, even though it doesn't look like it on the surface. But before a wound is healed, it's going to look very sore and very toxic, because all the toxicity has to come out of the body before the wound can start to heal. And there might always be a scar there, but you don't have to rupture the scar. But you can allow the scar to heal, and then it turns into a scar of initiation, a scar of transformation. And this is where we are right now. All this toxicity and ignorance of the human condition is showing itself. And in that process, we are seeing the discord, damage, and violation of others through the last number of 100 years. Those things that have been kept hidden and underground are now surfacing. Stories of abuse and violence are surfacing. That's a good thing, because these stories of violence, these stories of genocide have to surface in order for all of us, every human being, to become completely uncomfortable. Because where there's a violation to one, there's a violation to all of us. Can we stomach it? Can we handle it? Yes, of course we can, but what we need to do through this process is go back to our own organism, our own vessel, whatever you look like, whatever the vessel with this drama inside is, whatever this physical vessel is, whatever you look like, to integrate the stories of the human condition, the story of the hive of man, to integrate that. We need some alone time, and we need to feel the pain inside of us. Breathe it in, breathe it out, and always listen to your own heart, so that the violence doesn't carry on. Because when people are not listening to themselves, then there's just this reaction to the violence outside, and so on and so on. And that's the karma. That's what creates karma, where things are repeated, where behaviors are repeated. So how can we stop violent behavior amongst one another, so that we can hold each other's hands and face the natural world and start healing the natural world? The first step, like I say, is for us to listen to our own organism, our own vessel, and listening without doing anything or judging or throwing anger or swords or more violence, but just listening and feeling. And then listening to the call of that. How are you called from then? Are you called to go and speak and to create an NGO? Are you called to dance? Are you called to scream? Are you called to go to the sea and ask for forgiveness? Where are you being called? And therein lies your job, therein lies your work, because each human being has a job to do. And if someone thinks that their job is not important, you have to ask yourself, how important is the job of a butterfly? And it's been said by scientists that the wings of a butterfly flying over South America can create a hurricane on the other side of the world. Just the beating of its wings, changing the air pressure, is enough to create a hurricane on the other side of the world. So think of that butterfly when you think, what good can I do in the world?
Mm. And what ripple effect our energy has on everyone around us. Care
Yes.
for self, love of self, compassion for self, being still with oneself, and stop judging ourselves so harshly. We have to begin to understand that being human is hard work, but being human is a wonderful opportunity to have a wonderful ripple effect in a positive way for the world we're now living in. Mm-hmm. And well-being is critical to all of our journeys, to be well-being within oneself, one's own core. Mm. So when we're looking at this time of what we see for many as great challenges, is there a silver lining in these challenges for us to begin to open our minds, to open our hearts, to experience in new ways that humanity does have pain and trauma, and we are being triggered in these times. And sometimes in that trigger, we have the opportunity to learn it's old ways of being that we're now clearing now to see we can become a new species. To be more gentle with ourselves is the starting point.
That's right, yes. But to also realize that every human being is responsible. We have huge responsibility, and we can't give up that responsibility because we think we don't have enough money, or we don't have enough fame, or we don't have enough power, or we're poor, or everybody has responsibility. Everyone is part of this hive. You've got the worker bees, you've got different kinds of roles within the hive of man. Mm-hmm. However, everyone has a role to play. Mm-hmm. Even if you're just holding the pain and suffering of what you're hearing in the news, and you sit quietly and close your eyes and listen to your breath and listen to your heart and say a quiet prayer for someone in Afghanistan who is suffering and just holding their pain. That is something. That is something. Mm-hmm. That is not nothing, that is something.
That's a wonderful concept of holding the pain, not taking another's pain, but being present to them in a way that you can hold space for them to hold their pain. And that person, again, as you said, is blessed because of your presence holding their pain, so they can begin to express more deeply what they have not yet been able to say.
That's right. During the height of apartheid in South Africa, there was people all around the world holding vigils and prayer groups and marching and demonstrating in front of South African embassies around the world. However, it was that space of holding the injustice in their heart, and maybe sometimes people were angry, maybe sometimes people were marching around the world. However, the most important thing is that the people in South Africa were not being ignored. They were not being forgotten by other people around the world. Other people were feeling that injustice, and they were marching, and they were writing, and they were singing, and they were praying. And in that space, the South African situation was being held. And then people started taking action, and they supported the ANC, and they supported Nelson Mandela, and there's a whole lot of things that started happening. But the most important was just the average human being on the other side of the world holding that discord and holding that pain of the South African situation in their hearts. and that enabled and created space for other things to happen.
Mm. I love that, created space for other things to happen. We often think of, from the intellectual way of being, that time is more important than space, but in actual ways of seeing differently, sometimes space is the most important thing.
Before the word, there was the space. Before the space, we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
The space is allowing for the mystery to unfold.
Yes.
The space is allowing for possibility to be birthed into this world. The first space that has to be created is for each human being and each of the listeners to honor your own space. So honor the space inside of you. So if you just close your eyes, sit up straight and feel the bones of your body.
Mm-hmm.
Feel the breath as it enters the body and it takes up the space inside of the body. See what happens when you sit a little bit taller. And you sit a little bit taller, and see what happens when you open your shoulders out and you allow your stomach to rest easily. See what happens when you give permission for your chest to expand. See what happens when you feel called to just stretch your spine by just twisting to the side and looking over your shoulder. As you create space in your spine, and then you're doing it to the other side, seeing what happens. So try this, wherever you guys are, just try this, stretching the other side. Looking over your shoulder, breathing into the bones of your spine. Knowing that as you're breathing into those bones and you're sitting up straight, that you are creating spaciousness on a physical level, which is then going to create spaciousness on another level.
Wow. That's beautiful.
First, holding the oxygen mask over your face before you go trying to help someone else. It's a wonderful analogy in terms of plane travel.
Yeah.
Before, I've gone on so many plane journeys, so many, and it's sometimes boring, but always insightful. Each time the air hostess says, I need to go through the emergency procedures with you. And they make it very clear when there is an emergency, you have to put the oxygen mask on your own face and then attend a child or a loved one or someone who needs help. And this is a very important emergency procedure for trauma. So the world is in trauma, the animals are in trauma, there's a lot of trauma happening outside there. To just respond like a headless ghost is not effective. But to respond with putting the oxygen mask on your face first, breathing in, feeling, and then responding, that's when things can happen in an effective and mindful and conscious way.
I also like the word insightful way. There's an old adage in the Christian Judaic tradition, position of be still and heal thyself.
Yes.
And I love that imagery when I said beautiful to the movement, particularly as elders, to remember to breathe. And I love that image of breathing into your bones, the space that it needs to help our bodies be tall and open and really accelerating the physical and the mental and the emotional and the spiritual bodies so that we can be fully alive, particularly as we age, not just gratefully, but gracefully, and to be more spacious to hold space as elders for others who are journeying through this wonderful opportunity of living on this beautiful planet for all humanity, to begin to understand caring for ourselves is absolutely imperative if we want to care for each other and the earth herself, our one mother. We must remember to breathe and get that oxygen for ourselves.
And watching the breath do its work, so trusting. It's like when you trust, the grass grows by itself. It doesn't need us to micromanage it. It doesn't need a website. It doesn't need an app. It doesn't need anything. The grass grows by itself. And it's the same thing with us. We need to trust the ancientness of this physical body. There's something ancient beyond words and beyond language that is sitting right here with you and me right now. So when we just sit down and let go and allow the magic of the breath to teach us, allow the magic of that spaciousness as we look at the stars and the clouds to teach us, then we are connecting to that elemental force, which is called planet Earth, and living in this moment right now.
And being so connected and interconnected with nature, we will be given wonderful messages of affirmation of how we are really all oneness, that everything is oneness. We're energy. And I remember many, many times in my life, I could not see or hear the wind in ways that I can now. So this is kind of the journey, I believe, for many of us, when we get so overburdened with the way of life we live in the Western cultures of as you said earlier, the over busyness, the overthinking, the macro managing, we forget our indigenous roots, that our ancestors' bones are all in the earth, as you say. And our ancestors are with us, even though we cannot see them physically. They're very present with us every day to remind us to look up, to see a flock of geese fly by, to see them in formation, reminding us we're not alone. We're here to work together, just like the geese do. They take turns being leaders, and they work together in a spirit, an energy of cooperation. And humanity can learn so much from all our relations, because they're always giving us lessons to look up or to look down, to see the dewdrop on the grass, reminding us that we're water, we're energy, we're a vibration of something so much beyond human intellectual understanding. So your journey of awakening so many souls all over the planet with internet brings you to the drumming and the recent project you were on, John.
Yes.
And I know we're getting close to the time that we want to be under our magical 60-minute of human time. And I see that my screen for some reason goes black and white sometimes. And I find it always interesting when it does that, because it must be a way of spirit guiding me that we must be getting close to the hour of honoring that in every new beginning is an ending. And I'm just wondering, could you share a little bit with those listening in the future weeks and months and years, some of your work that you do and how people can connect with you, and why it is so important for those of us listening today to get better at simply loving ourselves enough that we can begin to love our neighbor as ourselves, and to see that whatever we see in each other, the beauty and the kindness, these are the times that our ancestors are urging us to pick up our drums and to sing and dance and live with joy. And like you, I come from Irish Celtic roots, and we deal with life by either lots of laughter or lots of tears. And as long as we're expressing those, we'll be very well in our well-beingness as a beautiful human family, all one humanity. So could you help us all hear some of your wonderful ways of being in the world as a shamanic healer, creating internet conversations with people like myself and many others, simply wanting to learn how do we be more simple in our ways of being the wholeness that we seek to see.
Yes. If people want to take part or see my events, they're more than welcome to go onto my website, which is www.johnlockley.com. So on my website, you'll see all my events. I see individuals, so private clients with Zoom sessions, so one-to-one over Zoom like this, over the internet. I also do a monthly circle, which is, I call a monthly webinar. And so that's very effective. And I have people from all around the world sign in for that monthly webinar. I also do a yearly retreat to the Kalahari Desert, which is one of the oldest sightings of man were found in the Kalahari. So it's a very ancient place, one of the oldest places in the world. And I do a retreat there every year around February and March, and you're more than welcome to attend. It's also a way of going on pilgrimage into yourself, so find your own way home. And I call it Dreams and Tracking in the Kalahari. In South Africa, I do an Ubuntu retreat at a Buddhist retreat center. So Ubuntu means humanity, and I lead a 3-day process retreat at the Ikopo or Buddhist retreat center in Durban, outside Durban. So you can see that on my website. And we've been doing that for about 6 or next year will be our 7th year. And I'm joined by a local Sangoma, a Zulu Sangoma lady. And we work together. And it's, I must say, it's a very powerful experience of traditional South African medicine in a Buddhist setting, flowering and coming together. So those are some of the things that I do at the moment, as well as writing. I have a writing project which I'm working on, and looking after my family. So yeah, so people are welcome to attend or participate or join me in any one of these spaces.
And you also have a newborn son when you talk about family.
Yes.
I think it's so wonderful. I saw on a Catholic church many years ago, something that for me as a universalist that is blessed to have lived in 6 cultures and honest, for me, my life has been very rich because I've been blessed to be able to embrace different traditions. And so when you speak of the Buddhist tradition and the Hindu tradition and the Muslim tradition and the Christian, there's a saying that in the journey of life, humanity will begin to see that we're actually like a bouquet of flowers, all multicultural nations coming together as one to create a bouquet of flowers. And so for the children of your generation and many others, for the ones that are now coming, these beautiful souls coming to parents like yourself, the world is richly blessed by the words that I saw on this Catholic sign that said very loudly and clear, each time a newborn baby is born, it is Creator's message to humanity that Creator would love to see this beautiful world continue. So I love that because I do believe sincerely that the new modern nuclear family of today, where multicultural families are merging and coming together as one, is creating the oneness that the Woodway Wellness Learning Center is aspiring to bring forth in this project of having conversations with spiritual leaders like yourself from all over the planet, from many cultures. We're speaking the same language, and it's called the religion of love. And it's that love vibration that comes through every newborn child or species that again helps to remind us that we all have this beautiful energy, because that's who we are. We're here to bring forth love.
Sounds lovely. Thank you.
Well, you're so welcome. And thank you so much. Would you like to do a drumming song for us to complete this wonderful heart-to-heart conversation of listening and silence, bringing a blend for humanity to see It's okay to have a timeout. It's okay for us to create that space to know ourselves.
Okay.
And that's the
Yes.
most important work we'll do.
Oh, Vudunlela Manyange. We say Vudunlela, which means open the road. Open the road, great ones. Open the road so that we can realize our destiny in this world and the next. Vudunlela, open the road. Oh, Vudunlela Manyange. Oh, Vudunlela Manyange. Oh, Vudunlela Manyange. Vulenlela manyange, vulenlela manyange, ya ya, vulenlela manyange, vulenlela manyange, ye ye, vulenlela manyange, vulenlela manyange, ye ye, vulenlela, vulenlela manyange, ye ye, amanyange, ye ye, oh amanyange. Oh, I'm a young yeah, yeah. Volenlela manyange, volenlela manyange, yeah. Volenlela manyange, oh manyange. Volenlela manyange, yeah. Volenlela manyange. Thank you, Judith.
She'd
Thanks
make
for
rich.
inviting
And thank you. And merci. That was so powerful. My actual camera did a dip. So thank you so much, John, for sharing your special, sacred, wonderful vision and your mission to affect others listening from their hearts to the beauty within all of us and our world as we speak. Our energy is like a butterfly. And as we are sharing that energy all over the planet, we're seeing our beautiful, beautiful planet through climate change and through other challenges that humanity is facing. We are creating a beautiful ripple effect like the butterfly in all our lives to be more gentle and to bring forth that healing energy for us all. And so it is. And we are all blessed. Thanks so much for being with us. Thank you all, and take good care. Bye for now.